The elevator doors hissed open on the 15th floor of Cascade Innovations, and I stepped out into the sterile hum of fluorescent lights, my resignation letter clutched like a grenade in my fist. Rain lashed the floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Seattle's jagged skyline, mirroring the storm churning inside me, and in that split second I saw him, Ronan Caldwell, my boss, the man who'd unraveled every defense ID built around my heart, leaning against his office doorframe, his green eyes locking onto mine with an intensity that made the air thicken. "Eli," he said, his voice a low rumble that sliced through the downpour outside. "Don't walk away from this. From us." But I already had, my feet carrying me forward even as my soul screamed to turn back, because loving him had become a quiet devastation I could no longer endure. That moment replayed in my mind like a glitchy film reel as I stormed down the corridor, past the open-plan desks where my colleagues pretended not to stare, their keyboards falling silent under the weight of unspoken gossip. Cascade Innovations was the kind of tech startup that thrived on disruption, sleek algorithms for sustainable energy, buzzwords like green revolution plastered on every wall. But right now it felt like a cage, bars forged from stolen glances and late-night emails that lingered too long on the screen. I'd come to Seattle 3 years ago, fresh out of a nowhere undergrad program in Portland, chasing the myth of reinvention in this city of fog and forgotten dreams. Maplewood Heights, the sleepy suburb where I'd rented a shoebox apartment overlooking the Sound, had seemed like the perfect hideout. Quiet streets lined with evergreens, coffee shops that served pour-overs strong enough to wake the dead, and an anonymity that let a guy like me, Elias Harper, 28, perpetually single, perpetually questioning, breathe without the weight of expectation. But Ronan had shattered that. Had hired me straight out of a cold interview, his handshake firm and lingering just a beat too long, his smile the kind that promised secrets wrapped in tailored suits. At 35, he was the archetype of the self-made innovator. Irish-American roots tracing back to Boston, but transplanted to the West Coast with a tan that spoke of California weekends and a voice laced with that faint East Coast clip. Tall, broad-shouldered, with dark hair that fell just shy of unruly and eyes like the Irish Sea after a storm, green flecked with gold. He commanded boardrooms with the ease of a man who'd stared down venture capitalists and won. "You've got fire, Eli," Head said that first day, clapping a hand on my shoulder as he showed me to my desk. "Don't let this place snuff it out." Fire. If only Head known how that word ignited something deeper, a flicker I'd spent years pretending wasn't there. The office blurred as I approached HR, my pulse a frantic drumbeat. Sarah, the no-nonsense director with her bob haircut and perpetual mug of black coffee, looked up from her monitor, eyebrows arching like question marks. "Elias? It's barely noon. Everything all right?" I slid the envelope across her desk, the paper crisp and final. "I'm done. Effective immediately." Her eyes scanned the single page. Standard boilerplate, no bridges burned, just a polite exit from the chaos. She leaned back, folding her arms. "Ronan's going to lose his mind. You're his golden boy on the Aurora project." Golden boy. The term stung, evoking locker room taunts from high school. The ones that had sent me retreating into books and solitude, rather than facing the mirror. I forced a smile thin as the rain-slicked sidewalks outside. "He's got plenty of those. Tell him. Tell him good luck." Outside, the November chill bit through my wool coat, Seattle's perpetual gray sky pressing down like a judgment. I trudged toward the bus stop in Pioneer Square, the historic brick buildings looming with their ghosts of gold rush fortunes, and let the downpour soak me through. My phone vibrated in my pocket, texts from friends, a reminder for therapy tomorrow, but I ignored them all. Instead, I pulled up the last email from Ronan sent at 2 a.m. last week after Wed pulled an all-nighter debugging code. "Couldn't sleep. Thinking about that line you wrote, the one about fragile equilibria. You see the world in ways I envy. Dinner soon?" Dinner. Wed danced around it for months. Coffee runs that stretched into hours, his hand brushing mine over shared laptops. The way his laugh filled conference rooms like sunlight breaking through clouds. I was gay, I knew that now, had known it in whisper since college, but admitting it to him? To the man who signed my checks, who embodied every unattainable ideal. The bus lurched to a stop and I climbed aboard, dripping onto the vinyl seats. An older woman across the aisle offered a sympathetic nod, her umbrella dripping onto the floor. Rough day, Han. I managed a nod, staring out at the blurring lights of the waterfront. Ruff didn't cover it. Last night, ID overheard him on a call in his office. Door ajar, voice hushed. Yeah, it's complicated. He's straight edge, you know? Family man. The words had landed like punches, twisting the knife of my unspoken confession. Was he talking about me? Or someone else? The ambiguity had festered, turning admiration into ache, until I couldn't log another hour under his gaze without cracking. Maplewood Heights welcomed me with its familiar hush. Victorian houses with peeling paint, kids on bikes dodging puddles, the distant cry of gulls over the water. My apartment was on Elm Street, second floor, a one-bedroom with views of nothing but the alley and the occasional raccoon scavenging bins. I kicked off my shoes, the thud echoing in the empty space, and collapsed onto the couch. A thrift store relic with springs that poked like accusations. The walls were bare save for a single photo. Me and my sister Lena at graduation, her arms slung around my shoulders, both of us grinning like we had the world figured out. Lena, now married and settled in Tacoma with her software engineer husband, had been the first to suspect. You light up around him, Eli, Shed said over FaceTime last month, her brown eyes sharp. But if it's not mutual, walk. You deserve the kind of love that doesn't make you question your worth. She was right, but walking felt like amputating a limb. I poured a glass of bourbon, cheap stuff from the corner store, and scrolled through LinkedIn, half-heartedly applying to jobs in Portland or maybe Austin, anywhere but here. The city's tech boom had chewed up dreamers like me before. ID land on my feet, code for some faceless corp, bury the longing under deadlines. Yet as the liquor warmed my veins, memories flooded. Ronan at the company retreat in the Olympics, shirt sleeves rolled up as he hiked ahead, his laughter carrying back on the wind, the quiet vulnerability in his eyes during a team-building exercise, when Head admitted losing his parents young, building his empire from grief's ashes. Head trusted me with pieces of himself, late-night confessions over takeout Thai, and ID hoarded them like treasures, never daring to claim more. By midnight, the rain had eased to a drizzle, tapping Morse code against the window. Sleep evaded me, so I booted up my laptop, the screen casting blue shadows across the room. Work emails waited, ironic ghosts, but I deleted them all, starting fresh with a freelance profile. Freedom tasted bitter like espresso gone cold. What if ID misheard that call? What if complicated meant he felt it too, this pull that made board meetings electric? No. Better to sever clean. Let the wound scar over. I closed the computer, the click final as a gavel, and crawled into bed, the sheets cool against my skin. In the darkness, Seattle's hum filtered through. Distant horns, the low rumble of the ferry, a reminder that life churned on, indifferent to shattered hearts. Morning broke gray and unrelenting, the kind of Seattle dawn that begged for hibernation. I woke to the scent of damp earth wafting through the cracked window, my head throbbing from too little sleep and too much rumination. Coffee brewed strong, black as my mood, and I sipped it standing at the sink, watching mist curl off the sound. Job alerts pinged my phone, junior dev positions in Bellevue, nothing inspiring, but I applied anyway, fingers flying over keys like autopilot. Lena texted. Heard you quit. Spill. I typed back a vague needed change, hit send, and pocketed the device before the truth clawed out. The day blurred into errands. Grocery run to the co-op on Main, where hipsters debated almond milk ethics. A walk along the waterfront trail, boots squelching in mud, the Salish Sea stretching endless and unforgiving. Gulls wheeled overhead, their cries sharp as regrets, and for a moment, I envied their freedom. Untethered, scavenging without shame. Back home, I unpacked bags onto the counter. Kale quinoa, a six-pack for nights like this. But unpacking felt symbolic, like sorting the debris of a life half-lived. I'd come out to Lena last year, tearful and tentative over wine, and Shed hugged me through the screen. About time, little bro, world's waiting. But the world, my world, still felt small, hemmed by fear of judgment, of losing the fragile normalcy ID clung to. Afternoon brought a knock at the door, jolting me from a nap on the couch. I shuffled over, peering through the peephole. A delivery guy, clipboard in hand. Package for Elias Harper. I signed for it, the box innocuous, brown paper, no return address. Inside, a sleek black drive labeled Aurora Files Backup. Ronan's handwriting, that precise slant. My chest tightened. Had anticipated my exit. Slipped this under HR's nose. I plugged it in, files blooming across the screen. Code ID slaved over. Notes in his margins praising my instincts. One folder caught my eye. Personal. Containing a single audio clip. Heart hammering, I hit play. Eli, if you're hearing this, I hope it's because you finally took that leap you deserve. His voice, warm and ragged, filled the room. The project's yours if you want it, freelance, no strings. But truth? I didn't just hire you for your code. You remind me what it's like to feel alive. Don't let fear win. The clip ended, leaving silence thicker than fog. Tears pricked my eyes, hot and unwelcome. Alive. Had said it so casually in meetings, but here it was, stripped bare. I replayed it, memorizing the hitch in his breath, the vulnerability he hid behind boardroom bluster. Evening fell early, shadows lengthening across the hardwood. I cooked stir-fry, the sizzle a poor distraction, and ate alone at the table, fork scraping plate like accusations. LinkedIn lit up with congrats from colleagues, polite nothings masking curiosity. Then a direct message from Ronan. Drive arrive? Call me. I stared at it, thumb hovering, the pull magnetic. No. Boundaries, Eli. I logged off, poured another drink, and lost myself in a book. Some gritty noir about lost souls in the rain, fittingly bleak. But his voice echoed, a ghost in the walls. Night deepened and insomnia won again. I paced the living room, bare feet cold on the floor, replaying every interaction. The way his fingers grazed mine passing coffee, the shared silence during drives to client sites, windows fogged with our breaths. Was it mutual? Or projection, my heart's desperate fiction? Seattle slept around me, but I was wide awake, unraveling. By 3 a.m. exhaustion claimed me on the couch, dreams tangled with code and green eyes, a premonition of storms yet to break. Word count 1,000. Days bled into one another. A monotonous tide eroding my resolve. Freelance gigs trickled in, bug fixes for a fintech app in San Francisco, UI tweaks for a boutique in Portland. But they paid peanuts, barely covering rent on Elm Street. Mornings started with black coffee and job boards. Afternoons dissolved into walks along the Burke-Gilman Trail, where joggers in neon pounded pavement, and I nursed the hollow ache of what-ifs. Lena called midweek, her voice crackling over the line from Tacoma. You sound like hell, Eli. Spill the real tea. I leaned against the kitchen counter, the phone hot against my ear. It's him. Ronan. I think I'm in love with him. The words hung heavy as harbor fog, and she sighed, not surprised. Knew it. But quitting? Dramatic much. What'd he do, fire you from bed? Laughter bubbled up, unexpected and sharp, easing the knot in my chest. Worse. Made me feel seen. Too seen. She urged therapy, a nudge toward the counselor ID ghosted after the first session. You can't run from this forever, bro, own it. Own it. Easier said. That night, I dusted off the old journal from college, pages yellowed with half-formed poems about boys who looked like salvation but tasted like ash. Pen-scratched paper, fragments of Ronan, his scent of cedar and sea salt, the scar on his knuckle from a childhood fall head mentioned once offhand. Writing it out felt like exorcism, but the possession lingered, a low fever. Cascade haunted my periphery. LinkedIn updates on Aurora's milestone, photos of the team toasting at some rooftop bar in Belltown, Ronan front and center, glass raised, smile not quite reaching his eyes. I scrolled past, but the algorithm knew better, serving ads for executive coaching and reinvent your career. Reinvent. They'd branded me the innovator. Now I was adrift, a cast-off in my own story. Saturday brought market day in Maplewood, stalls hawking artisanal cheeses and handmade soaps under dripping awnings, and I wandered, basket swinging empty. A busker strummed acoustic covers near the fountain, his voice raw on a Springsteen tune about thunder roads and broken promises. I tossed a 5 in his case, the bill fluttering like surrender. Back home, the drive sat on my desk, a talisman. I backed up the files, then dove into the personal folder again, uncovering emails had archived. Correspondences from his early days, pitches rejected, dreams deferred. One thread buried deep caught me, a chain with his ex, Connor, from 5 years back. You're building walls, Ro, Connor wrote. Let me in or let me go. Ronan's reply. I can't risk it. Not yet. The intimacy stung of Voyeur's guilt, but it humanized him. Not the untouchable CEO, but a manhood loved and lost, scars hidden under cufflinks. I closed the laptop, shame burning and showered hot, steam fogging the mirror until my reflection vanished. Monday dawned with purpose. An interview at a mid-tier firm in South Lake Union, glass towers piercing the sky. I dressed sharp chinos, crisp Oxford hair tamed, and rode the light rail downtown, the cars packed with commuters buried in screens. The office screamed corporate. Beige cubicles, motivational posters preaching hustle culture. My interviewer, a harried woman named Trish, grilled me on frameworks and scalability, her nods perfunctory. Why leave Cascade? Casual but probing. I paused, the lie smooth on my tongue, seeking new challenges. She bought it or pretended to, scheduling a second round. Victory tasted hollow, it was stability, not spark. Post-interview, I detoured to Pike Place, the market's chaos a bomb. Fishmongers hurling salmon, tourists snapping at the gum wall, the air thick with brine and blooms. I bought a bouquet of dahlias, crimson and defiant, for no reason but color, and carried them home on the bus, petals brushing my knee like whispers. Arranging them in a vase, water glugging from the tap, I let myself imagine. Ronan here, sleeves rolled, teasing my fancy taste, his hand steadying mine as we trimmed stems. The fantasy warmed, illicit until reality crashed. A knock, insistent. Through the peephole. Not delivery but him. Ronan, rain-slicked coat dripping on the mat, jaw set like he meant business. My breath caught, door opening before thought could catch up. Eli. His voice, that rumble, filled the threshold. Up close, exhaustion etched lines around his eyes, stubble darker than usual. We need to talk. I stepped aside, mute, the apartment shrinking around us. He shrugged off his coat, hanging it precise on the rack, movements deliberate. That drive. I didn't mean for you to find the emails. Heat flooded my face, busted. I wasn't snooping. Just. He turned, green eyes searching. Curious? About me. The air crackled, charged as a storm front. We settled in the living room, him on the armchair, me cross-legged on the couch, dahlias a splash of red between us. Why are you here, Ronan? Direct? Edged with the hurt ID nursed. He leaned forward, elbows on knees, fingers templed. Because you walking out gutted me. The project's stalling without you. But that's not it. A beat heavy. It's us. Or what could have been. My heart stuttered. You said complicated. On the phone. His brow furrowed, then cleared, realization dawning. That was about my brother. Declan. He's struggling. Coming out late, family pushing back. Relief warred with embarrassment. ID built cathedrals of doubt on sand. He reached across, hand hovering near mine, not touching. Eli, I've known since college. Buried it under ambition because vulnerability? In this world, it's suicide. His laugh bitter. But you make me want to risk it. The words landed soft, seismic. I searched his face, finding truth in the flicker of gold in his irises. Then why the distance? The almosts. He sighed, rubbing his neck. Power imbalance. I'm your boss. Didn't want to coerce. Noble, infuriating. We talked then, hours unraveling. His Boston childhood, father's mill closing, mother's quiet strength. My Portland awkwardness, first crush on a debate team rival who never knew. Laughter threaded the ache, tentative bridges. Dusk painted the room indigo when hunger hit. Pizza. I suggested, light. He grinned, that boyish flash. Only if it's from Antonio's. We ordered, ate cross-legged on the floor. Grease on fingers, stories flowing like wine. He confessed the retreat hike. Watched you lag behind, sketching ferns. Thought this guy's got poetry in his veins. I admitted the emails. Made you real. Flawed. Human. By night's end his hand found mine, palm warm, thumb tracing knuckles. Stay, I whispered, not meaning the job. He nodded, pulling me close, lips brushing forehead. For now. Sleep came tangled, his breath steady against my neck, the rain a lullaby outside. Morning brought coffee shared at the counter. His shirt rumpled from my floor. Back to work. Teasing but laced with fear. I shook my head. Freelance. Us first. He kissed me then, slow and sure, tasting of future. Seattle stirred beyond the window, but in that kitchen, the world narrowed to two, fragile, fierce, alive. Yet doubts lingered, shadows under the sun. Midweek a package arrived. Unmarked, inside a key fob for a cabin in the Cascades. Note in his script. Weekend? Unplug. Excitement buzzed, but so did caution. Too fast? I packed light. Jeans, thermoses, a playlist of indie folk that echoed our silences. The drive north wound through evergreens, his hand on my thigh shifting gears, radio humming low. Ever been? He asked, glancing over. Once family trip. Snowed in, board games till dawn. He smiled. Sounds perfect. The cabin perched on Whidbey Island, overlooking Saratoga Passage, wood smoke curling from the chimney wed stoke later. Inside, quilts, a stone hearth, shelves of dog-eared thrillers. We hiked trails slick with moss, hands linked, breath sinking to the rhythm of waves below. Lunch by a stream, sandwiches unwrapped on a plaid blanket, turned confessional. His first kiss, fumbling in a dorm, mine anonymous at a party, regret sharp as pine needles. Hit it well, I said, skipping stones. Too well. He caught my wrist. Not anymore. Evenings blurred into firelight and Merlot, bodies mapping new territories, tentative at first, then urgent, skin to skin under flannel sheets. His touch reverent, tracing ribs like code, whispering my name like prayer. Dawn found us entwined, coffee perking on the stove, plans sketched on napkins, joint ventures, trips to Boston, a life beyond screens. You're my equilibrium, he murmured, echoing that email. I believed him, heart open as the sea. Return to Seattle grounded us. My freelance ramped, his meetings dotted with quick lunches at the pier. But cracks spidered. His late nights, cryptic calls about investors. I dismissed them, chalking to stress, until one evening, post-dinner at a Capitol Hill bistro, his phone buzzed. He silenced it, but not before I glimpsed the name, Connor. Ex-Connor. Old friend, he said, too quick. Jealousy flickered, unbidden. The one from the emails? He nodded, evasive. Just checking in. I let it slide, but the seed rooted, doubt watering it slow. Winter tightened its grip on Seattle, holidays looming like uninvited guests. Strings of lights twinkled along the waterfront, but the cheer felt performative, masking the undercurrent of isolation that city life bred. Ronan and I settled into a rhythm, dinners at his sleek condo in Queen Anne, views sprawling over the lights like a promise, mornings tangled in his king bed, his arm heavy across my waist, the scent of his shampoo lingering on pillows. He was out now, selectively, to me, to a trusted circle at work, but not the board, not the press that hounded Cascades every milestone. Timing, he'd say, kissing my temple. Soon. I nodded, trusting, but the word echoed hollow, a deferral. Freelance bloomed. A contract with a solar startup in Austin. Remote calls at dawn that paid enough to buy a studio downtown. Lena visited for Thanksgiving, her husband Ben in tow. The four of us crammed around my table. Turkey from the co-op, pie from a bakery in Fremont. She cornered me in the kitchen while Ronan charmed Ben with tales of venture fails. He's good for you, she whispered, chopping celery. But don't lose yourself in his orbit. I hugged her fierce. Won't. Lies we tell, sisters. The holiday high faded with December's chill. Ronan grew distant. Meetings bleeding into nights, his laugh shorter, eyes shadowed. Big push on Aurora, Head explained, loosening his tie. I filled voids with runs along the locks, watching salmon leap against currents, their determination a mirror to my own. One evening post-gym I swung by his office unannounced, takeout tie in hand. The building hummed empty, security nodding me up. His door ajar, voices spilling. Low heated. Can't keep stringing him along, Ro. Eli deserves better. Connor's timbre. Unmistakable. Silence, then Ronan. It's not stringing. I love him. Footsteps approached. I ducked into the stairwell, heart slamming, tie bags crinkling like accusations. Home, I microwaved leftovers alone, flavors muted. Love. Head said it, to Connor, not me. Betrayal coiled. Irrational but ironclad. Texts went unanswered that night. By morning, a Kurt stuck in Bellevue. Rain check. Days stretched, excuses piling. Flights to SF investor dinners. I threw myself into work, code a refuge but sleep evaded, dreams fractured with green eyes turning away. Lena noticed. Holiday call laced with worry. Fight or flight? She asked. Both, I admitted, voice cracking. Christmas Eve snow dusted the sound. A rarity, magical and mocking. I strung lights alone, the glow warm against bare walls, and poured eggnog spiked heavy. The doorbell chimed at 9, Ronan on the stoop, cheeks flushed from cold, arms laden with gifts and regret. Missed you. He pulled me into the hall, lips cold on mine, melting resistance. Inside we unwrapped. A leather-bound notebook from him. For your poetry. A watch from me, simple silver. Laughter returned, tentative, as we roasted chestnuts by the window. His head on my shoulder. Sorry, he murmured. Pressure. But you're my anchor. I forgave, easy as breathing, bodies reconnecting in the dark, urgent and affirming. New Year dawned crisp, resolutions whispered over champagne. More time, more truth. He took me to a gala at the Museum of Pop Culture. Jimi Hendrix holograms pulsing to bass lines, donors in tuxes swirling like sharks. His hand at my low back, possessive, drew stares. Whispers followed, but he held firm, introducing me as partner. The word thrilled, a public claiming. We danced, clumsy amid prose, his breath hot on my neck. This is us, he said. Real. Midnight fireworks burst over the needle, our kiss tasting of possibility. January thawed the ice, but not the undercurrents. Aurora launched a fanfare, press and TechCrunch, Ronan on panels touting sustainable futures. I watched from afar, pride mingled with envy. My contributions credited obliquely, a footnote. A dinner celebration at Canlis followed, hilltop views of the city aglow. Toasts rang, but Connor's presence grated. Seated across, his smiles too familiar, eyes lingering on Ronan. Later in the valet line he clapped my shoulder. He's lucky. Treat him right. Patronizing or warning? I nodded tight, unease festering. Home that night, buzzed on wine I confronted. Connor's around a lot. Ronan paused, shirt half unbuttoned. Old friend. Helping with transitions. Transitions. The word chilled. To what? Hiding me. Hurt flashed in his eyes. Eli, no. He's bridging to the board, about us. But doubt whispered louder. Memories of that stairwell call replaying. We made up in bed, apologies in touches, but the seed sprouted thorns. February's Valentine's brought respite. A surprise weekend in Portland, food carts steaming under bridges, his hand in mine through Powell's endless aisles. Pick anything, he said, indulgent. I chose a dog-eared copy of Giovanni's Room, Baldwin's ache resonating. Hotel nights blurred into mornings, his fingers tracing spine, mine the books like vows. I love you, he said finally, over room service waffles, eyes steady. The words unlock something, tears pricking. Love you too. Sealed, or so I thought. Spring teased with cherry blossoms along the U District, but tensions simmered. Work calls interrupted dinners. His temper frayed at small things. A forgotten dry cleaning, my late run. Just stressed, he'd say, pulling me close. I believed until a late pickup from the airport. His bag heavy, cologne mingling with unfamiliar smoke? A woman's perfume faint but there. Client dinner, he explained, kissing my cheek. Doubt bloomed full, petals of paranoia. The breaking point came mid-March, Aurora's one-year mark. A team retreat in Leavenworth, Bavarian facades hiding boardroom battles. I tagged along as consultant, feeling peripheral. Evenings in the beer garden, laughter loud, but Connor hovered, whispers with Ronan cutting through chatter. That night, hotel bar emptying, I caught them. Hands on arms, heads close, Connor's laugh intimate. Rage boiled, I stormed out, Bavarian snow crunching under boots, phone dead in my pocket. Back in Seattle solo, train rattling south, I packed. Not dramatic this time, no letter, just a text. Need space. Done pretending. His replies flooded. Wait. Misunderstanding. Please, Eli. Ignored. Apartment echoed empty, dahlias long wilted. Lena arrived dawn, hugging silent. You deserve truth. Days blurred. Runs till lungs burned, code till eyes blurred, bourbon till numbness. Then, April showers drumming, a knock shattered the quiet. Ronan disheveled, rain-soaked, eyes wild. Let me in. I did, walls crumbling. Connor, he's my brother. Half-brother. Found out last year. That's the secret. The world tilted. Brother. All those calls, the familiarity, familial. Relief crashed, mingled with shame. Why hide? He sank to the couch, head in hands. Feared it would scare you. Messy family, Eli. Dad left, mom remarried. Connor, he's the bridge I needed. But you're the truth. We talked till dawn, layers peeling. His fears of abandonment, my walls of self-doubt. Dawn light filtered, gilding his face. Marry me. Not a ring but raw plea. I nodded, tears salting the yes. Seattle woke around us, renewed. Compassion in cracks, identity forged in fire. Love a quiet revolution. Summer unfurled in Seattle like a hesitant bloom. The rare sun gilding the sound in gold, chasing away the perpetual gray. Ronan and I rebuilt on firmer ground, the brother revelation a cornerstone rather than a fracture. Connor integrated slow. Awkward brunches at his Belltown loft, stories of shared childhood summers in Cape Cod before the split. His easy grin disarming my remnants of jealousy. He's intense, Connor said once, clapping Ronan's shoulder over IPAs. But you steady him. I did or tried, balancing his empire with our fragile domesticity. Mornings brewing pour-overs in his condo, evenings walks in Discovery Park, hands linked against the dusk. The proposal lingered unspoken, a seed we watered with plans. No grand gestures, Ronan hated spectacle, but a ring appeared mid-June, simple platinum with an emerald fleck, slipped onto my finger during a ferry ride to Bainbridge. Fits, he murmured, wind whipping his hair. Like us. I kissed him salt-lipped, the water churning below mirroring my pulse. News spread quiet. Lena hooped over video, toasting with virtual champagne. Colleagues at Cascade nodded knowing, the office thawing from its corporate frost. Work evolved too. I consulted full-time for Aurora. Office a hybrid of remote days and collaborative sprints, my code weaving deeper into the core. Ronan deferred more, board votes, keynotes in Austin, but always returned, suitcase abandoned at the door for my embrace. Missed this, headsay nuzzling my neck. Intimacy deepened, bodies familiar yet exploratory. Lazy Sundays in sheets, his fingers mapping freckles like constellations, whispers of futures laced with laughter. Yet conflict brewed, insidious as tide pools. July brought investors from Silicon Valley, vultures and loafers circling Cascade's valuation. Ronan grew gaunt, nights poring over projections, his temper a live wire. They want control, he snapped one evening, pacing the living room, city lights mocking through glass. I reached for him, calm anchor. Fight smart. He deflated into my arms, vulnerability cracking. Scared to lose it all. Lose you. I held tighter. Not going anywhere. Lena's wedding anniversary pulled us south to Tacoma. Barbecue at their backyard, strings of bulbs swaying in breeze. Ben grilled ribs, kids from the neighborhood chasing fireflies, and Ronan fit seamless, charming aunts with Boston tales. Later, beers on the deck, Lena pulled me aside. He's good. But watch the stress, don't let it eclipse you. Wise as always. Fireworks popped over the bay, his hand finding mine in the dark, a silent vow. August heatwave baked the city, air conditioners humming like conspirators. We escaped to the Olympics, cabins in Hurricane Ridge, hikes through subalpine meadows wild with lupin. Nights by campfire, stars pricking the ink-black sky, he confessed deeper scars. The ex before Connor, a toxic spiral of closets and closeted rage, made me vow never again. I shared my own high school isolation, the debate crush who outed himself years later via Facebook, too late for what-ifs. We healed together, I said, embers glowing. He nodded, pulling me into the tent. Love a shelter against the wild. Return brought climax. A board meeting in September, storm clouds gathering over the sound. Investors pushed hostile, demands for overhaul, Ronan's vision diluted. He fought, voice steady in the conference line, but fallout hit hard. Stocks dipped, headlines in GeekWire speculating Cascade turmoil. Nights he withdrew, scotch in hand, eyes distant. If it crumbles. Trailing fear raw. I countered with facts, projections I decrunched, contingencies, but words bounced off his doubt a fortress. Betrayal struck subtle then sharp. Connor called me late one night, Ronan asleep upstairs. He's spiraling. Talk to him. Gratitude mixed unease, why me not family? Next day digging files for a pitch I found emails, Connor pitching Ronan on a buyout. For your sake for Ellis. Sell out? The suggestion curdled, painting Connor as savior, Ronan tempted. Confrontation brewed but I swallowed, choosing trust over tempest. October winds howled, leaves skittering like secrets. A gala fundraiser for LGBTQ youth. Ironic spotlight, forced our hand. Dressed sharp, arm in arm at the Paramount, donors toasting progress while Ronan Network taught. Midway a whisper from a venture suit. Heard Caldwell's entertaining offers. Smart move. Poison seeped. Post-event cab ride home silent tension thick. What offers? I asked voice even. He sighed head against glass. Hypotheticals. Connor's idea, safety net. Betrayal bloomed not in action but intent. Family plotting behind my back or his? Home exploded quiet. Accusations low, hurts unearthed. You let them undermine us. His defense. Protecting what we have. Tears hot I stormed the bedroom door clicking shut. He followed pleading through wood. Eli please. Dawn found truce, hugs, apologies but fracture lingered a hairline crack. November rain returned relentless. Therapy resumed solo at first, then couples. A soft-spoken doc in Capitol Hill unpacking power, identity, the terror of loss. Sessions peeled layers. Ronan's ambition as armor, my quitting as flight. Compassion starts within, she said. We listened, hands clasped under Kleenex boxes. Climax crested mid-month. Investor deadline. Ronan presenting revised Aurora. My tweaks at core. Room virtual, faces pixelated, tension electric. They balked then bent. Deal inked, cascade intact. Relief flooded but so did reckoning. That night, dinner at our table. Connor invited, air thick. He laid cards bare. The buyout? Fear talking. Didn't want him broken like dad. Ronan nodded, eyes on me. Should have included you. Forgiveness flowed, hard won, sealing the rift. Winter solstice neared. Holidays reimagined. We hosted. Lena, Ben, Connor. A potluck of stories and sides. Laughter echoed, walls warming. Later, fire crackling, Ronan knelt anew. Not proposal but recommitment. Through betrayal's storms. You're my everything. Ring glinted, our yes a quiet thunder. The new year slunk in on tiptoe, Seattle's fireworks muffled by low clouds. But our world felt expansive. Horizons sharpened by trials endured. Ronan and I married in spring, small on would-be soil. The cabin from our early escape draped in wildflowers, waves crashing benediction. Lena officiated, voice steady through vows. Connor best man, toast laced with brotherly ribbing. To equilibria found. Rings exchanged, simple bands etched with code snippets. Our love, algorithmic and infinite. Honeymoon whispered. A road trip down the coast. Big Sur cliffs dropping to Pacific roar. Motels with neon vacancy signs. Bodies rediscovering in salt air. Back in the grind, Cascade thrived. Expansions to Portland, my role evolving to co-lead. Voice equal in board whispers. Power balanced, no longer boss and employee, but partners in every sense. Mornings strategizing over oatmeal, evenings decompressing with runs in Green Lake. Breath sinking to Loon's calls. Identity solidified, mine especially, coming out full to old friends via group text, responses a mix of cheers and crickets but freedom tasted sweet, unbitter. Yet humanism demanded depth. Connor's own unraveling midsummer. A breakup with his long-term boyfriend exposing cracks in his bravado. Always the fixer. He confessed over beers at a Fremont dive, neon buzzing. Ronan flanked him, hand on shoulder. I listened, offering no fixes, just presence. You're enough, I said. He nodded, eyes wet. Lesson in vulnerability, compassion circling back. Lena's pregnancy announcement hit fall, joy laced with envy. Our talks turning to futures, adoption whispers or surrogacy dreams. Whenever, Ronan said, tracing my jaw in bed. Our timeline. But loss shadowed. A colleague's suicide, young coder outed by family ripples through the office. Memorial at a Queen and Park, rain pattering umbrellas. Ronan's speech raw. He was seen. Let that be our legacy. We donated, founded a fund, small acts rippling identity as activism. Winter deepened, holidays evolved. Tree trimming with Connor, ornaments handmade from driftwood. New Year's Eve on the balcony, city sprawl below, toasts to resilience. But by kitsch loomed subtle. A health scare for Ronan, routine check flagging anomalies, biopsy pending. Waiting room sterile, his hand clammy in mine. If he trailed, then we fight. Together. Results benign, cyst, shadow lifted, but the scare etched deeper. Fragility of it all, love a defiant stand. Spring renewal brought movement. A house hunt in Wallingford, craftsman with a yard for imagined dogs, closing papers signed under blooming magnolias. Move in chaos, boxes labeled in Sharpie, furniture tetrasaid, culminated in a housewarming laughter echoing bare walls. Lena, belly round, gifted a framed photo. Us at the wedding, eyes locked eternal. Summer peaked with a cross-country drive. Boston roots for Ronan, meeting his aunts over lobster rolls, their hugs fierce. He's a keeper, one winked. Portland detour for my folks, divorced but cordial, backyard barbecue where Dad clapped Ronan's back. Treat him right, son. Integration, messy and mending. Fall harvest, Aurora's impact reports, villages in Kenya lit by our panels, emails from engineers thanking the Harpers. Pride swelled, shared. But conflict resurfaced mild. A job offer for me in Austin, tempting independence. Go if it calls, Ronan urged, no chains. I declined, home was here with him. Winter solstice circled, 2 years wed, growth measured in quiet ways. Therapy check-ins, date nights at hole-in-wall Ticarius, letters penned for rainy days. One evening, firelit, he pulled an envelope. Read later. Inside, a deed co-owned and a note. Our foundation. Build on. Climax revisited soft. Anniversary retreat to the cabin, snow blanketing pines. Huddled by hearth, he revealed the secret head held since the door knock. Not brother but deeper. A trust fund for us, seeded from his first failed startup. For dreams we chased together. Tears, laughter. Everything changed because of you. Years layered, seasons cycling. A dog adopted, scruffy mutt named Finn. Lena's twins born, uncles doting. Cascade Global, our legacy green printed. Betrayals faded to footnotes. Conflicts to catalysts. Love, humanistic core. Compassion in flaws, freedom in truths, identity woven mutual. In Seattle's eternal rain we stood balcony tethered, sound whispering below. Still falling. He asked, arm around waist. Every day, I replied. And in that the message. Hearts mend not in perfection but persistence. Tender, tenacious, true. The rhythm of our life in Seattle had become a symphony of small eternities. The percolators gurgle at dawn. Ronan's hum under his breath as he scrolled briefs. My laptop chiming with code commits that felt less like work and more like legacy. By our 3rd anniversary, the Wallingford house had shed its newness. Bookshelves groaning under tomes on quantum ethics and queer theory. Finn the mutt snoring by the radiator, his paws twitching in dreams of endless fetch. We'd planted a garden out back, raised beds bursting with tomatoes and basil. Ronan on his knees in dirt one rare sunny afternoon, sweat beading on his brow as he murmured encouragements to seedlings like they were bored pitches. Patience, little ones, he'd said, glancing up with that grin that still unraveled me. Growth takes time. I'd leaned against the fence, arms crossed, heart full to bursting. Time. We'd stolen it back, piece by resilient piece. But humanism, that quiet undercurrent of our story, demanded we look outward. Connor's path had forked into therapy and tentative dating, his loft now hosting brunches where vulnerability spilled over mimosas. Tales of first heartbreaks, the weight of being the fixed brother. We'd become his anchors, Ronan and I trading shifts for coffee runs when old ghosts resurfaced. One crisp October morning, as leaves skittered across Queen and Avenue, he confessed over scones at Le Panier. You too. You're proof it's possible. Messy but possible. I squeezed his hand across the table, the bakery's warmth a bomb. Mess is the point. Clean stories are lies. Lena's twins arrived in a whirlwind of midnight calls and hospital coffee. 2 boys, Oliver and Theo, squalling bundles with her eyes and Ben's dimples. We drove down bleary-eyed, arms laden with diapers and a mobile of solar-powered stars, a nod to our world. Holding Oliver, tiny fist curling around my finger, cracked something profound. The ache of what we hadn't yet built, mingled with fierce joy for what we had. Ronan watched, green eyes soft. Someday, he whispered later, as we navigated Tacoma traffic home. Someday. The word no longer deferred but bloomed. Conversations with lawyers about adoption. Quiet nights scrolling profiles of kids waiting for homes. Cascades Arc Bent Global. Partnerships in Nairobi, where Aurora panels lit schools under equatorial stars, engineers emailing grainy photos of smiling faces around flickering bulbs. Ronan keynote at a climate summit in Vancouver, his voice steady on stage. Technology serves humanity, not the other way around. And I sat front row, pride swelling like tide. Backstage, sweat damp hug. Couldn't without you. But success shadowed. A whistleblower scandal at a supplier, ethical lapses in cobalt mining that threatened boycotts. Crisis mode hit. Late nights in the home office, takeout cartons piling. Ronan's jaw clenched as he fielded calls. We fix this, I said, rubbing his shoulders, knots unyielding. Or we pivot. We did. Audits, transparency pledges, a fund for affected communities. The storm passed, but it etched reminder. Empires fragile, built on choices. Personal tides turn too. My novel, fragments from that old journal, expanded into a queer tech romance, found a small press in Portland, galleys arriving crisp in the mail. Launch reading at Elliott Bay, nervous palms as I stood under spotlights, voice cracking on the dedication. To R my equilibrium. Applause thundered, his eyes from the third row anchoring. Signing afterward, fans shy with stories. This gave me courage. Validated the vulnerability. Ronan toasted later at home, champagne flutes clinking. Knew you had poetry. Fall deepened into winter's hush. Holidays, a tapestry of traditions evolved. We hosted solstice, candles flickering on the mantle, Connor bringing mulled wine, Lena and Ben with the twins in tow. Their giggles a counterpoint to Carol's crooned off-key. Gifts exchanged. A leather jacket for me, worn in from his closet. For him, a custom watch engraved, fragile but fierce. Midnight circle, hands linked, intentions voiced. Health for Connor, adventures for Lena, unity for us all. Fire popped, shadows dancing. A ritual of gratitude amid the dark. Spring whispered rebirth. Adoption papers filed. Home study visits with social workers probing our readiness. Shelves of kids' books vetted. Guest room converted to nursery with murals of starry skies. Waiting stretched. Months of profiles reviewed. Hearts hopeful. Then the call. A 4-year-old girl, Mira, with braids and wary eyes, foster system weary. First visit at a park in Magnolia. Her hand tentative in mine as we fed ducks. Ronan tossing bread with exaggerated whoops. Quack back, he said, and her giggle cracked the ice. Homecomings blurred, nights of nightmares soothed, days of Play-Doh forts and bedtime stories. Daddy, she tested one evening, curling into my lap. Ronan choked up across the room. Yeah, Peanut. Daddies. Fatherhood reshaped us. Schedules synced around preschool runs, cascade flex hours for sick days, my writing carved into nap times. Conflicts arose domestic, diaper debates, bedtime battles, but resolved in tag team tenderness, Ronan scooping her for airplane spins while I plated mac and cheese. Identity expanded. Not just partners but parents, our love a village now. Summer solstice marked 5 years. A backyard vow renewal, Mira scattering petals. Guess the circle of chosen family. Vows updated. Through boardrooms and breakdowns, tantrums and triumphs. Sealed with kisses amid cheers. Honeymoon redux. Family camping in the Cascades. Tent tales under Milky Way. Myra's wonder mirroring ours. Ages turned, Myra's laughter echoing halls. Connor's wedding in spring. Us best men toasts teary. Lena's family grew. Visits cross-state with twins tumbling in grass. Cascade endured. Pivots to AI ethics keeping it vital. My second book hit shelves. Bestseller whispers. Tours balanced with bedtime routines. One rainy November eve, much like our beginning, Ronan found me at the window, sound mist-shrouded. Still here? He asked, arms circling waist. Always falling. I replied, turning into him. Secrets long shared, betrayals to backstory. Our story a testament. Compassion in the cleaving, freedom in the flaws, identity in the infinite us. Hearts once adrift now harbor steady shared shining.